Welcome to the 31st installment of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. I'm your host, Tiff Wells. With me today, he's a two-time first-team All-Big West selection, a 2020 AVCA All-America second-teamer, and a 2019 member of the NC2A Championship All-Tournament team. Redshirt senior outside hitter Colton Cowell from the top-ranked men's volleyball team. Colton, welcome to Talk Story.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Tiff.
Thanks for joining us. Now, first off, everybody knows about volleyball, but what other sports did you play growing up?
I did a lot of soccer, played some basketball. I was on my JV high school basketball team before fully switching over to volleyball. And then I didn't competitively play in per se many sports, but I was always involved in, just the basic like stuff around school, like dodgeball, kickball, foursquare, knockout on the basketball court, all that kind of stuff. So I was just around sports kind of my whole life, and it's what I fell in love with.
You're listed at 6'1". Are you really 6'1"?
I think I'm actually flat-footed. I'm about 6 foot and 6/8 of an inch. But then in volleyball shoes, I'm closer to 6'2", which our media continues to put me at. So then I always drop it back down to 6'1", just to kind of meet halfway in the middle.
Have you always been an outside hitter?
No, I was initially when I first started playing high school volleyball, I was a middle blocker. And then I moved to setter and opposite my sophomore year. And then I kind of came into my own junior year of high school as an outside, finished off senior year as an outside. And then coming into UH, I was a defensive specialist in libero before donning the opportunity to play outside.
You have a sister. Her name's Chandler. She plays at St. Mary's, both on the indoor game and the beach as well. If you were to pick any beach partner to play with, would you pick your sister?
Probably not. Probably not. I love Chandler, but I'd probably have to pick Karch Karai as a beach partner in his prime. For sure. I'd have to go with Karch Karai.
Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but on her bio page over at St. Mary's, it says her favorite memory is playing short court with you when you were in the 4th grade, and she blocked you. Do you have a memory of this, and what was it?
I'm trying to, I've seen that on her bio a few times actually. So it is true that we played short court together down at Kanaha Beach Park in downtown Maui. I'm not sure how many times Chandler actually blocked me, but if she's got a memory of it, I'm going to go ahead and trust her on that.
You mentioned all the sports you played growing up. When did you know you wanted to really focus on volleyball?
So I actually forgot to mention one. I was a pretty competitive youth gymnast when I was younger, and then I found out that I'd probably end up being a little bit too tall for that sport, and my parents both played beach volleyball at the time. And so I kind of started falling in love with that. And initially, I just fell in love with beach volleyball. And it really didn't take until high school when I knew that the opportunities for indoor were going to be, indoor volleyball in college. So at that point, that's kind of when I fell in love with the idea of playing college volleyball and just playing volleyball in general.
You're born in Manhattan Beach, but you list Makawao as your hometown. So to you, what does it mean to not only represent the state of Hawaii, but the island of Maui specifically?
The island of Maui specifically has just an incredible community, and I'm so blessed to have been raised there for 19 years of my life. I could not be more grateful to the people there and stuff. They're always the ones that are messaging me after like a tough match or after a great match. They're always words of encouragement, tons of aloha, and tons of love. And to represent them is really special for me because I know that, it's a smaller knit community. It's not the most public island like Oahu is, but there's a strong sense of cultural identity there. There's a strong sense of community, and to represent them means everything to me.
Your head coach here at UH, Charlie Wade, has many quotes, and one of them being, "Don't be a guy, but be the guy." And at King Kekalike, you were the guy. So how tough was it when you came from your senior year of high school and there were no offers for you on the table to play collegiate ball?
It was really difficult. That was really difficult for me to it was definitely a shot to my ego. But the best part about that is that I recognize that if you want to be a a starter on the court, you have to have a stronger sense of humility. You have to understand that there's talent across the board at every position on every single team in the country. And if you want to get on the court, you got to be willing to work really, really hard. You got to put your head down. You got to go into a gym, that isn't surrounded by 10,000 people like we get at the Stanton Sheriff Center. There's a lot of time spent in closed doors just working, and tons of failure that leads to success, and kind of those opportunities. That's what helped define me to becoming the guy and one of the guys for the UH program.
You were 145 pounds going into your freshman year. How tough was it to walk on, and what led you to pick UH to be your college of choice?
When I made the UH team, that was probably one of the best moments of my life, because I was on a walk-on tryout basis. And then when I got confirmed to train in the fall, even then, it was like a lot can happen between now and when we start competing in the spring. So you still got to be willing to work. And just knowing that's kind of when that switch flipped, that I was just like, you know what, like representing my home and seeing, the first time we stepped onto the floor to compete, seeing the game and seeing the fans and all that, I'm like, yeah, this is where I want to be for the rest of my collegiate career. And that's the best thing that could have ever happened to me, is actually receiving no offers and staying home and getting a chance to play for the hometown, because it's so special when you step out. And we didn't get that same experience this year, but we still feel the support. We still feel the love from the people.
You talked about putting in the work, and one of your former teammates, another fellow local boy from the Big Island, PanAm Experience, always said that if you want to put in the work, the weight room's where it's at. How have you embraced the weight room throughout your collegiate career?
I guess just becoming stronger has kind of been just an addiction for me, honestly, because I noticed that like as I grew stronger and as I got more physical, I was able to do things on the court that I wasn't previously. It's always good to have a high volleyball IQ, especially being, an undersized outside. It's always good playing smart, but there's sometimes, you look through the net and you see like a 7-footer, on Irvine, a middle blocker, and you just want to go up and bang. You want to go against him. You want to go hard. And it takes a certain level of physicality, maintaining. There's a 12-inch difference between me and that guy, and I gotta make up for that. So yeah, the weight room has been huge for me. And I really enjoy it. It gives me a peace of mind when I'm in there lifting and training, and just knowing that I can have really clear goals in there has been great.
We know the accolades on the indoor game for you, but also you're a pretty accomplished beach player. And when you're able to partner up with Brett Rosenmeyer, part of the USAV Collegiate Beach Championships, you guys also played in a tournament overseas as well. What did you learn from those experiences, and how did they help you get better on the indoor game?
I learned that Brett Rosenmeyer was the greatest teammate I could have ever had in program history for me. Rosie was so steady, such a great guy, always about the team, always about supporting and just battling through. And his emotions were always so consistent. So for me, I learned that, and I have a great long-lasting relationship with him. And I love that guy. And then getting to play on the beach, internationally, it's just such a different level. It's fast, and there's not as much shooting as most people think. When they think of beach, a lot of people think of the finesse game, but those international players, they're really bringing it. They're not afraid of anything. And so getting to play at that speed was really fun, and just getting, a different sense of culture. Like, I'm a local boy and stuff, so I never really traveled anywhere, honestly, outside of Hawaii and California before that. So getting to kind of go and play in Germany, it was awesome. It was great to just kind of get that new sense of culture, meet new people, and just kind of get some new experience.
Representing the state is one thing, but also the ability to represent your country is something not many of us get to do. So when you had a chance to play on the U.S. team for the PanAm Cup and the PanAm Games, describe those experiences, and what was it to you that it meant to wear the red, white, and blue?
Definitely when it first really hit me was when I first heard the national anthem before our first match in the PanAm Cup. And I looked down, and I'm wearing a United States jersey, and I see the flag, and I'm just like hand over heart, and I'm like, wow, this is something that I'm going to cherish, and this is something that I would love to continue in my future. I really want to continue representing the United States, because for me, the more that I can accomplish, in a sense, it's the more I can give back to the community of Maui and the community of Hawaii. They raised me, they built me into who I am, they made me the man I am today. And so everything I'm able to accomplish, I feel an even stronger sense to say mahalo and thank you to all those that helped me along the way.
That 2018 season, you guys are in Long Beach, part of the Big West tournament, fall in the final to Long Beach State. Describe the emotions on the plane ride back home when you guys found out about halfway through that trip that the NC2A committee had snubbed you guys out of an at-large bid.
So I slept for most of that flight. I was asleep for most of that. The decision to the committee, you got to earn your right. You got to earn the outright bid to the NCAA tournament. You never want to leave the decision up to somebody else. So a little bit of a scare this year, even in 2021, obviously. But fortunately enough for us, we had really, I feel, still earned that right where we played at a really high level for the majority of the season. And yeah, so there's a lot of emotions that come in when the decision's in other people's hands.
A lot of people talk about that 2019 season, arguably one of the best in program history. Of course, people want to talk about the set win streak and you folks starting, 25-0 and making it to the NC2A championship match. Take us through that fifth set of the Big West championship match in the tournament against Long Beach State and just stepping on the floor before set 5, sellout crowd. It's almost 11 o'clock at night local time. Just describe for us how you're feeling entering that fifth set.
I was feeling unbelievably confident. We dropped that fourth set. I think I got aced on an off speed, and we lost that set. And then all of a sudden I had this sense of clarity where it was just we're going into this last set and it's a game to 15. And this is the only defining moment that I need to focus on right now. And we brought it in as a team, and Charlie was like, you're going to start serving this set. And initially I was like, whoo, okay, all righty, you sure? And then I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to have Stein in the front row, who went on to have 25 kills and no errors that night. And I was like, yeah, we'll keep that guy in the front row. I'm going to go back there and bomb my serve and play really hard defense. I think that's when we made that ESPN clip was the diving save, and Joe made that 30-foot perfect diving back set. Stein put it away, and after kind of that play, I noticed the tide shift and stuff, and just getting to see all the people celebrating that night was the best game I've ever been a part of. It was just spectacular.
Colton, we do need to take the break right here, so stay right there. Along with Colton Cowell from Rainbow Warrior Volleyball, I'm Tiff Wells. You're listening to ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. Welcome back to episode 31 of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. I'm Tiff Wells, and we're here with UH Men's Volleyball redshirt senior, outside hitter, Colton Cowell. Now, Colton, we mentioned the set streak. A lot of the media did, a lot of the fans as well. Was it ever discussed internally amongst the program and the team itself?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Sure. The set streak during the 2019 season. A lot of the media discussed it. A lot of the fans talked about it. But within the team, was it ever discussed?
We were aware of it, but it was never something that was in the front of our minds. All we really cared about that year was just winning every game that we could, and fortunately for us, that happened a lot. But the thing is, I don't think we ever were like, we should finish it off at this number, or hey, let's make sure we don't drop a set to a team that comes in that maybe you wouldn't expect to take a set from us. Because I think at one point we almost dropped a set to a Lincoln Memorial team, which is an independent school, and they were playing great. But at the end of the day, we weren't ever willing to just lose. But if a team were to beat us, the set streak for us wasn't everything. It was more about going in every night, focusing on the opponent at hand, playing our best, and whatever the result was, as long as we came out with the win, we were going to be really happy.
As a collegiate player, is the toughest serve that you've ever had to face, has it come from Gabi Garcia Fernandez from BYU?
No, it was TJ. TJ's serve was definitely the most difficult to pass. Yeah.
As you're in serve receive facing the likes of TJ DeFalco, what's going through your mind as he's going through his serve routine?
Believe it or not, there were times when I was actually in the front row and they would put me in area 6 to kind of defend the middle of the court and put Stein on the sideline in terms of reception. And in those moments, I was always like, I want this ball. Come at me with everything you got. But then there were definitely moments when I would see kind of a look in TJ's eye going back there after a big point that they won. And I'm like, oh, this ball is about to come really fast. Like, all right, like, just got to be locked in. Everything's got to be locked in. Like, I've never been more focused than when that man was behind the service line. Just knowing that, like, he can put it anywhere he wants. It's going to come at over 70, or it's going to come inside the 10-foot line at just a really steep angle. So having to be locked in against that serve is really important. And it doesn't take anything away from Gabby's serve. It's just that TJ was moving the ball around the court so much. You could see in, like, his fan of, like, serving attempts, and it was just scary knowing that, like, he could look like he's not going at you, and then all of a sudden that there's a rocket just coming at you. Yeah.
That 2020 season last year, you guys are in CSUN to start conference play. Take us through the moments of when you folks first found out that not only the series against CSUN was canceled, but the rest of the regular season, and in fact, what could possibly have been your senior season, shut down because of the ongoing pandemic.
I just felt that I had more to give to the program and more to give to the people of Hawaii. That was the thought I went through, was just like, I have not given everything. Obviously, like, the match before that, I was out with an injury against BYU, and we won in 5, and it was beautiful. And I think that, the momentum and the energy was all in our favor moving forward the rest of the season. And then to get shut down like that, I was heartbroken, thinking that my last game in the Stan Sheriff Center could have been from the sidelines. And I was heartbroken at that point. And I was like, man, I would give anything for another opportunity, and I would give anything to just go and play with a different mentality moving forward.
When you guys found out that spring sport athletes would be given this extra year to play, was there any quick discussion between you and Pat and Rado to come back and have one more go at it here in 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was definitely a group decision to come back. I'm not sure, even as much as, like, all of us, love this program, it would have been a very difficult decision to come back alone as, like, a lone 60-year guy. And I definitely felt more confident in making that decision, knowing that I was going to have those guys coming back with me and, like, going on one last ride. It just kind of was like that silver lining to the pandemic was getting that opportunity to come back and play, and knowing that those guys were going to be by my side the whole way through this process. I felt so confident entering the season.
One of the guys that we haven't talked about so far is your starting libero, Gage Worthy. He'll be graduating with you guys next month. We know he's a different type of player, and he has a personality unlike any other. But can you describe your relationship and just what it is like to have a guy like Gage on your team?
I think Gage is great because he holds people accountable. A lot of people see that fun, kind of goofy side on the court, like lots of celebration, lots of energy. But what a lot of people don't see is in the practice gym and outside of the gym in general, just as a team guy, he holds people accountable, and he's not afraid to call people out. He's not afraid to have people recognize what they need to improve on. And he is in that position where he's got very specific tasks when it comes to the game, as a libero. And one of the things he's done incredibly is evolve into a leader that we can all look to for support and just to fire us up. Because like you said, he's unlike any other person in the NCAA. The man is just a walking Energizer battery. And I think we look to him in a lot of big moments to just either perform for us or give us that spark to push through.
You talked about representing the island of Maui, and when Emmanuel College came out a couple of years ago, part of one of the non-conference tournaments, I can see the smile. One of your high school teammates, Don Thompson, came with that Emmanuel team. How cool was it for you to have one of your high school teammates to be on the floor in a match like that 2 years ago?
Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah, we talked a lot before the match. We talked a lot after the match. We were texting and stuff the whole time. It was so awesome knowing that, like, two Maui kids were, like, in one of the biggest arenas in men's college volleyball, playing at it. And, he did great. And he's been leading that team for years now consistently. I think he was the first to reach 1,000 kills in that program, in program history for that school. And so he's left a sick legacy there. And I couldn't be more happy that another kid from Maui was able to make it and really just come into his own over the course of time. And so, for me, it's really inspiring. And I'm glad that I always, have that relationship with him. And I got to reunite with one of my old teammates. That was just great for me. That was great.
Here in 2021, you had a number change. What led you to pick number 24, and what does that Mamba mentality mean to you?
I think it's just it keeps me more focused. Making that number change, representing one of the greatest, if not the greatest competitor of all time. His work ethic was unrivaled. Like, he went into everything with full intensity, full focus, and there was no let up at all with what he was doing. And I think that's been the biggest thing for me is my growth and development as a player came from working really hard. And I wanted to see if I could take that hard work and dedication to another level. And I switched jerseys, and I wanted to kind of embrace that Mamba mentality, that accountability, that willing to work hard, willing to push through moments where things are tough or when I'm not feeling my best. And so for me to just represent Kobe, and during his unfortunate and untimely passing, I think that for me has just been the biggest inspiration moving into this year.
Do you have a favorite Kobe Bryant memory?
My favorite Kobe Bryant memory, probably the Achilles free throw. Yeah, probably just when he tore his Achilles and made both free throws, walked himself off, was trying not to limp, but I mean, you've just blown out your Achilles. What are you going to do, I would say the NBA championships, obviously, I think, and the MVPs, he's got numerous accolades, but that instance of mental and physical toughness, like, that to me is not only the Mamba mentality, it's the warrior mentality that we try to embrace here at UH. It's that he was just fighting with everything. His body was trying to give up on him, and his mental state at that point was just like, I'm not going to let you. I'm going to contribute to my team until I cannot. So that was big for me.
Senior year, couple of weeks ago, senior weekend, senior night specifically, it was a little bit different. Of course, no fans in the arena. And you mentioned to me a couple of years ago when you guys went to Irvine how special it was to have your grandparents be in attendance to watch you play. So to see them as part of your senior tribute along with mom and dad in that video, how special was that?
Oh, my grandma made me cry. Yeah, my grandma's message, I was just waterworks at that point. It was tough because when she starts going, it's hard not to. It's hard not to follow. And just, having my family support, they've been my rock for so many years, and they really, represent me, as a whole. They always are telling me to just practice humility, practice integrity, be always willing to work really hard, and they set the standard for me at a very young age, and just have their support on senior night, even though they physically couldn't be present, was really, really special.
Who's the better cook in the family, mom or dad?
Mom is definitely the better cook of the two, but the best cook in the family is actually my girlfriend.
Okay, so if your girlfriend's making dinner for everybody, what is the one dish you're asking her to make, and why?
She makes a really, really good honey glazed salmon. Really good honey glazed salmon. And it's my favorite. It's my favorite, so that's why I'm asking for it. She combines that with like a coconut curry rice, and usually some sort of steamed vegetable, and it's perfect. It's the kind of thing that can prep you for a match. It's good for post match. It's the go-to meal for sure.
When you guys travel, and of course you guys are traveling to Columbus in a week or so for the NC2A championship, but when you travel, what are some of the must-have items in your carry-on bag?
I usually bring there's like a hyper ice lacrosse ball. It's like a lacrosse ball that has like a vibration technology. I always use that because it's good to like for trigger point stuff, and I can do it on the plane. I can do it in the airport. Like, it's just super portable. I always bring I think it's a $50, an old school $50 coin that my grandpa gave me for good luck. I always have one of those as kind of just a memento because he's been a really significant influence in my life and continues to be. And then those two things are like the focal items for me. Other than that, it's usually just like a good book to read, my iPad in case I want to watch some film on other teams, and then just some miscellaneous kind of items, some recovery stuff, obviously. But those two things for me, something that brings me luck and something that's going to prep me to compete.
We know how special this program is to the state, and it's a fan base that is not just island-wide, not just statewide, but it is worldwide. If you had a message for the Hawaii fan base, what would you like to tell them?
That this last run by us is for them. And obviously I can't promise a national championship. I can't promise anything at this moment, but at the end of the day, when we enter these next matches, we're going to be playing for you guys. We're going to be playing for the state of Hawaii. We love you guys. And I can tell you one thing, that we're going to be bringing that warrior mentality. We're going to be bringing that Mamba mentality. And, you know, at the end of the day, when we step onto that court, we're going to be playing with the entire Hawaii nation behind us. And we know that. We represent that proudly. And we're going to give it our absolute best.
You have your undergrad degree. What all have you been doing in this now 6th year of being in school?
Yeah. Well, I was looking at some of the minor programs at first, and then I thought, you know what, I should just go for a master's. So I'm actually going to be halfway through my master's in economics, focusing in resource and environmental and energy economics. And then I'm also doing a grad certificate in renewable energy and island sustainability.
You've also been a member of one of the Special Olympics committees, correct? You've been a spokesperson as well. How has that helped you grow as a person?
That representing something like that is also super empowering for me, and it just puts things into perspective. It makes me really, really grateful on a daily basis for what I have and the gifts that I have. And it's just always humbling to see, you know, people and children with special needs and just the way that they go about life. It's so happy. And, you know, their emotions are so genuine, you know, and it's just like this kind of organic relationship that you can build with them. It goes a little beyond verbal. It's just like you understand the moments when they're upset and when they're happy. And it really teaches you to just be really nurturing and really kind and practice being kind.
It seems as if all the seniors have their own hashtag. Of course, Uncle Pat, Rocket Rado, G Swizzle. You may have the most amount of nicknames on this team, from Makawao Mamba to Haleakala Hammer, Maui Built. Is there one you prefer, or does it really matter? Or are they all cool in its own way?
They're all very cool in their own way. And I always love, every year there's something more creative that they're just throwing out there and stuff. And it always puts a huge smile on my face. But definitely Maui Built, I think, is more of my origin. It's more of my from my roots. Because that community did build me up, and I would not be where I am today without them. So I represent that title proudly. I think I have that in my social media bio, and that for me just means a lot. And I wish I could have, you know, obviously come up with that originally. There's already a company, Maui Built, and I know the family that runs that, and I'm hoping maybe someday they'll endorse me. I don't know, we'll see. But for me, Maui Built is really, really special, just because I know that, like, when I tell myself that, or when I hear that, like, yeah, I'm representing something that's way bigger than me. And it's not just about me. It's going to be about everyone in that community, everyone's support, everyone's energy, everyone's mana. And how do I channel that and bring it onto the court?
Last one for you here, Colt. 7 players on this team received all conference awards. You were one of 4 that was named to the first team All Big West Conference. But to see Rado Parapunov named Player of the Year for a 2nd straight season, we know how good he is on the floor. Describe your relationship with him off the court.
Oh, he and I are total goofballs off the court. On the court, I think we've learned to have more fun and show that kind of happy side. Whereas when we were first kind of establishing ourselves, it was all focus and all intensity. But off the court, Rado and I are completely goofy, especially when we're around Pat. Actually, the 3 of us together are really, really goofy and really fun-loving. And we know that our time together with this program is finite. And I think we're just really enjoying that time together. So we're doing a lot of stuff outside of the gym together, and just kind of creating those memories that we're going to have off the court for the rest of our lives.
Colton, this has been so much fun. We appreciate the time you've given us today. Thanks again for joining us, and best of luck in Columbus.
Thank you so much, guys. Mahalo.
For Colton Cowell, as well as the rest of us here at ESPN Honolulu, I'm Tiff Wells saying thank you so much for joining us here on the 31st edition of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. Until next time, wear that mask, stay safe, and be socially distant.